Hey again, guys. You know what I like to do when I get done with a workout? Well, first I like to catch my breath. Then I like to look at some baseball cards. All right, I got a care package here. Got a care package from the 3D 80s kid. Very unexpected. Thank you. I got a little note, and I have a bad habit of just grabbing the envelope and feeling for the cards and then ripping the envelope. And sometimes I've ripped the note, but I didn't go over the lettering, thankfully. John, thanks so much for sending me my own signed white glove along with the custom card. It's been great getting to know you over the last year. Unfortunately, I'm not going to make it to the National this year to shake your hand and buy you a drink. What? You're getting out of buying me a drink? Man, I might have to fly out to the West Coast. I didn't know you were getting out of buying me a drink. Very nice, John. Very nice, John. Thank you very much. So let's see what I got. I got a custom card. Awesome. And I got a great 1953 Bowman. Jack Daniels. And now I understand this one. Phil Coke. So I got a Jack and Coke. That's awesome. I guess that's in lieu of you buying me a drink at the National. So I don't have my National booked. I never booked it. I wasn't sure if I was going to go, but I don't think I'm going to go. I'm so frustrated with the hobby, and I have some cards here. I'm going to show you some recent purchases. I haven't been buying much at all. I have a few things that will trickle in. But I started to think when I go to the National now, I love, last year I loved to see everybody and meet everybody, and that's fantastic. It was man, it may be the best experience I had in all of my collecting years. There is absolutely no doubt about it. But I keep talking to more and more people who aren't going to the National. I know my man Lou Rock's not going. I don't think James is going. John says he's not going. I was just watching Eddie's cardboard video. He said he's not going. And I started to think that all the people that benefit, all the advertisers, the people that are selling stuff there, like the vast majority of them are people I don't want to support. Like the bad players, the bad actors in the hobby. And, certain people walking around with posses and their cameras and just promoting that kind of thing. I started to think about it. And yeah, it's great. I want to see everybody. But at the same time, it's a lot of money to go there. And then I'll be giving my money to a bunch of people I don't really want to. And so, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? I don't know. I could end up going. I don't want to totally dismiss it. But right now, I'm so frustrated with the hobby. I'm not buying anything. I may never, ever grade another card in my life. With so many cards trimmed, what can we even trust now? These are all trimmed, apparently. And why would I pay money for somebody to grade a card that's already trimmed? Like, I don't need to pay somebody for that. I could just keep them raw in my collection. I guess that's the difference between now and then, is now you're all stressed out about it. Back in the old days, you didn't know any better, so you didn't care. You just loved the card. There weren't 2,000 videos complaining about the grade people got, or showing cracking and resubmitting, getting a higher grade, and trimming, and fake autographs, and scams, and this, and that. Wow, could you tell I'm frustrated? Just frustrated with the hobby. I don't want to participate anymore. And for that matter, I don't really want to participate too much more in America. When I was growing up, I had this really sexy pinup of Cheryl Tiegs from Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. And it was hanging on the back of my door so my mom couldn't see it because she had kind of a see-through bathing suit. And today I found out that there's a trans dude going to be on the cover of the swimsuit edition this year. Like, what the hell is going on in the world? God, I miss the 80s. God, I miss the 80s. Fantastic music, fashion. Everybody seemed to get along. We just accepted everybody. It didn't matter. I don't know. The whole world is going crazy, and the card market's going with it. All right, let me show you a few pickups. I have this fantastic Bazooka Frank Robinson. He was just one of the great players of all time. In my opinion, one of the most underappreciated players in the history of the game. Phenomenal player, first black manager. Now, Branch Rickey was with the Pirates around the time he came up. He's the one that stole Roberto Clemente from the Dodgers farm system. And he called Cincinnati and he wanted to make a deal for Frank Robinson. And the owner of the manager of Cincinnati said, "Branch, I wouldn't trade you Frank Robinson for your entire team." So he came up in 56, but didn't have a rookie card until 57. He was Rookie of the Year in 56. Really a fantastic, phenomenal player. And I saw somebody show this guy on here, and man, it's escaping me. It was a little while ago. I think it was the 49 Leaf. It's just a phenomenal looking card. And so I went looking, and I found this one that shows him with my Pirates. And that is Bob Dillinger. And I didn't have this 51 for my set. 51 Bowman. And I picked up a Royal Desserts, Eddie Robinson. Really tough set. These are blank back cutouts. And I got a 77 Hostess, John Candelaria. And this is pretty cool. And I just really like the image. And it's a 1990 Baseball Cards magazine cutout of Rickey Henderson. Almost looks 3D. Yeah, I wanted to mention John, 3D's 80s kid, 3D 80s kid. He's having a live this Sunday night. It's set now at 9 Eastern time. And there's going to be several of us on there. And we're going to talk about sets from the 1930s and 1940s. Now, John is he's a little anal, obsessive compulsive. He's a planner. You know, me, I know what I'm going to talk about like right before I hit play. I'll grab some cards and I'll think something up and I'll just hit play. But, you know, he's a planner. He's got spreadsheets, and he determined that we are going to talk about only the high pop sets, the more popular sets. So don't tell John, don't tell him, but I am going to break out and find a way to squeeze in some of the more rare sets and the obscure sets, because I think we're leaving some out. But don't tell John. All right, I found this 1995 Topps All-Star with Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr., and I just thought it was pretty cool. And from last year's archives, found this Clemente, 2 different versions. And, you know, 1978 Topps, one of my all-time favorite sets. And so when I found out that he had a couple versions in here, I had to have them. And I'm not a big collecting old players on modern cards. That's not my thing. But every once in a while, some of them are just cool looking or so nice I can't pass them up. So I grabbed those. Hey guys, as always, love to hear your opinion on things. Man, my last video talking about the whole restoration thing, man, I appreciate all your comments, and people are coming from every angle on that. It surprised me how many people are very accepting of trimmed and altered cards. And I guess, you know, a lot of people I guess they do that in comics and other collectibles, which I wasn't aware of. And so those kinds of people that are into those find it ridiculous that you wouldn't alter sports cards. And I find it ridiculous that you would think you wouldn't alter sports cards. I just don't get that. But the thing is when, so many people have a stake in all these trim cards selling for high amounts of money and so forth, and basically covering their asses, legitimizing it, it'll probably become a thing. And it's like, the hobby changes. Like you used to be able to sell raw cards. Now no one wants one if it's not in a holder. And the thing is as time goes on, the more and more people feel a certain way or do something wrong or change their habits or whatever, it becomes acceptable. And I like to use the word often as a perfect example. The word often was always pronounced often if you spoke proper grammar. But so many people pronounced it often and enunciated the T that they finally just changed it in a dictionary and gave it two different pronunciations. So they basically, it's, and that happens with certain slang, stuff like that. It happens in baseball. Like if a guy can't hit to the opposite field anymore, they ban the shift. This is just this is just the world we're living in. We are adapting to different things, softness in a lot of ways. I was watching, When It Was a Game, fabulous that HBO did, and these old players, man. They were talking about, because of the way their contracts were, they would go to spring training, and no matter how big of a star they were, I heard Enos Slaughter even, he was like, every day you wondered if your job was going to be taken. And they were always bringing up new guys. And you had to play hard. If you didn't play hard, you probably weren't going to be on the team, but your other teammates wouldn't talk to you. And they had to play in these heavy wool uniforms where they would sweat, and just imagine how that slowed them down and how tiring it was. And they played that, small hustle ball. They're running the bases, they're stealing bases, they're bunting. And when you watch this, my God, how the game has changed. It's almost like prima donnas, they got to sit out every couple games and this and that, compared to then. And it's a whole new world, and these guys make lots of money. You got to protect that investment, right? You don't want to sign somebody to some insanely high contract and he gets hurt. But in the old days, they would actually play games before the game, right? Because, it wasn't on television every night. You couldn't watch it on the internet or anything like that. So you kind of had to go to the game. And when you went to the game, you were just awe-inspired by this giant stadium, and you finally got to put eyes on your favorite players, or maybe you only saw him on a baseball card, and that's how you recognized him. And so they would do things for the fans, and they used to play games before the game. And it was a little intense. Like the players would compete against each other, running races and doing all kind of things before the game. I mean, can you imagine somebody doing that today? Because they would be afraid that they would get hurt. There's no way they would run any kind of race or do any kind of athletic event before the game just for fun and to entertain the fans. So that's one of the things that has really, really changed from the old-time baseball to the modern baseball. And so that's what I have on my mind. Let's take another look at that beauty. I'm really trying hard to block out all the nonsense. So you don't have to leave me a comment and tell me to do that. It's just really hard. It's just really hard. But I'm trying. And I'm trying just to get back to collecting. Although I might get back to collecting in obscurity again. Because I just can't constantly see this crap all over my YouTube page every time I log in. It just gets to me. And there's no way to avoid it. It's all the all the things I want to watch the least, that own the pages, that own the the metrics for when you search search sports cards. It's just insane. Most of you watching me right now, none of your channels come up. None of them. It's all the channels I don't want to watch. I don't want to hear about. You know, it's frustrating. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.